You know what? I'm really excited because, well, how many years has it been?
Man, 2009. I first got the guts to say, Kurek, can you help me out?
This is a very special interview for me, is because Glenn actually interviewed me, as he said the date, and it was the first time I was actually ever showcased on YouTube. Which the funny thing, in those days, you would only do like 10-minute
limits. So I chopped it up into 8 volumes, and they're still up there, man.
Well, but the other thing is, it was supposed to be like a 20-minute interview, and I think it was 2 hours later.
Well, I just kept asking you about what you've been doing.
And we had a great time. Yeah. So here it is. It's 2017.
Wow.
And I'm really honored to be asked to be part of your event, which is the Total Success Summit. Not just some success, but total success.
When you've got a headliner like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I just said, okay, what's a couple of his movies I can Total Recall? Right, Total Success.
So I hope that wasn't said too fast for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the main event at the program, which, again, how cool is that to be on stage with the governor? And so, Glenn, let's talk about this. This is the second time you've had him in?
Yeah, it goes back to your teaching. I was part of the Life Success Club back then, and still am. Still got the discs there, the CDs. And before we went digital and they started to be download volumes, I still got the discs, pride of place, beside my bed that get still a regular rotation. And it was back in those days at your live event workshop at the RNA Showgrounds, things that you were teaching, like grand dream goals. You know, what would your goals be if you weren't afraid, or what would your goals be if you couldn't fail? And back then, I wrote down, have Arnold Schwarzenegger headline at one of my events, and I also wrote down Sylvester Stallone and other of my childhood heroes, because you put the caveat on if you weren't afraid, right? Now, with that caveat, I can dream anything, because I remember you were saying kids don't have those problems. They want bedrooms and swimming pools and water slides between the bedrooms and all of these limitations that and you were using kids as a wonderful metaphor. So I thought, well, if that's the rules of the game that we're playing here, well, I want to hang out with my childhood hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And little did I know that when that principle is added to action and you actually take some implementation steps, crazy, insane things that a little kid who grew up in Ipswich, right? And for your viewers, I know your viewers, Kurek, are all around the world. Ipswich is 40 k's west of Brisbane. It's not a high socio-economic, it's a very working class town, I suppose, historically. Does not, in his wildest dreams, end up getting to work with, and even in years gone by, socialise with Arnold Schwarzenegger, his childhood hero, and yet here we are.
Here we are. And just in what you've said there, Glenn, is, there's so much strategy and tools right in what you said. Is, set grand dream goals. You have to take action because, Calvin Coolidge said the world's full of educated derelicts. Most people don't have to do, they're just not doing it. Yeah. And then the fortune's always in the follow through, that you follow through with it. And so this is the second time you've had Arnold. Last year you had...
well, since then, because there was a few of my students that said, after we pulled off the impossible, and that's bringing Arnold Schwarzenegger to this country to teach real estate agents how to be more successful of all things, because that was the first event. It was only just for my real estate clients, you know. This next event, of course, the general public have demanded, hey, you've got to let us in too, so cool. But it was after that, a couple of my students were saying, one in particular said, well, what are you going to do now, smart Alec, because you've pulled off such a great event, what's next? So I went back to my formula, right? Write out your grand dream goals. So I wrote Oprah and Michael Jordan and Jim Carrey, because I'd seen a wonderful speech of Jim Carrey's with Oprah interviewing Jim Carrey. I thought, so I had all this list of people. I've still got the list of 15 people, and I'm working. Your former co-star, Sylvester Stallone from Lock. Kurek was in Lockup.
I don't know if he was actually my co-star.
But so all of them are on my list, and number 3 on the list, Oprah, Michael Jordan, Richard Branson. So Oprah, I'm still working on that one. Still working on Michael Jordan. But Richard Branson came back and said, okay. I'll word it correctly. An email came back after some toing and froing. Hey, we're not planning, Glenn, on being in Australia at the time you want, but, and I quote, it would be great if we could do it. And I'm like, am I reading that right? Is Richard Branson saying he'll play with me? And, so we've now Gary Vaynerchuk, my marketing hero, who's just doing some incredible things. It's like, when don't be afraid to ask, because and I remember in our first interview, we were talking about that little building society that's now a bank called the Grader. You were using the example because it was right at that interview. They'd just got Jerry Seinfeld to be their spokesperson. And we were talking about that in our very first interview when we were talking about who knows what happens when you ask. And I kept that principle going, man. And here we are 8, 9 years later, and man, some people are still saying yes, man.
And so there's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm honored to be one of the speakers. Who are some of your other... I mean, look, I know there's a huge entourage of speakers, but it's a 3-day program. One of them is a bonus day for
my real estate folks. Of course, I've got to look after my guys who brought me to this dance. They've allowed me the honour.
And that's absolutely free as a bonus. Yeah. And even if you're not a real estate agent, if you wanted to attend, could you go?
Of course. And the thing is, I'm not teaching how to do open homes and teaching them. They know how to be real estate agents.
You mean you're not doing the same? This is
this is the kitchen. Yeah. But what we teach on that bonus day is how to get Agent A. Now, Agent A could be business A, it could be salesperson A, it could be any industry. How do we get Agent A chosen over Agent B? So the bonus day is really positioning and marketing and how real estate agents differentiate themselves in a sea of sameness. Because they all look the same to most people out there, right? So if I can show, and my speakers, when I say my speakers, the guys I've been honoured, like John McGrath from Shark Tank and from The Block, another one of my heroes is honoured.
So he's on the bill?
Absolutely. Yep. So when you've got that faculty of geniuses, many of whom have learned from me, and I'm honoured that many of them called me their coach in that space, if we can teach a real estate agent who predominantly isn't a very well-trusted vocation by that, and it's undeserved in many cases, but they do have that reputation. If we can teach a real estate agent to be liked, known, liked, and then, heaven forbid, even trusted, then what can we do for someone in another industry that isn't already starting from -10? There you go. So yeah, that's just day one. That's just the bonus day.
And Glenn and I were talking before shooting this video. And you had actually said that, I've taken a lot of my marketing things that were not really for real estate and just changed it to work in real estate.
Absolutely.
So if you want to come to the bonus day and learn how to market your business, just because they might be talking about real estate or real estate agents, doesn't mean that you can't apply that to your business.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard me talk about things, as you know, I always say there's one formula for success. The activities may be different. So if you want to get in shape, or you want to make money, or you want to have a great relationship, this formula is exactly the same. Obviously, the activities are different. And so the same formula for marketing is the same formula for marketing no matter what you want to learn. So if you're in business, if you want to market yourself, it's a great bonus day. But who are some of the key speakers, besides Arnold, yourself, myself, John McGraw, who else?
Well, I had, again, my hit list of Australians that I've learned from. And, of course, when I was a student of yours, which again, when I say when, I still am, but when I was in those seminars of yours and you would talk about what you did with the mindsets of Kerry Potthast and Nat Cook. So I had them in my head of being a big fan of theirs, even though I didn't really know them. I knew their successes, of course, that you took them to at Sydney 2000. And so I reached out to them, and actually in this case, Kerry reached out to us, and because it seems she knew a friend of a friend who, and I thought, Kerry Pot, yes, please. So then once I knew Kerry I thought, maybe I could call Nat Cook as well. And I got a direct message to her on Facebook. So Nat Cook, Kerry Potthast. Again, I've read every book he's ever written, Alan Pease, the body language guru. But then I thought to myself, as I was talking with Alan, and I'm almost nervous, like I am with you. I'm like, oh my God.
He's right nervous with you.
But I'm saying, is there a human being on this planet that has sold more product and materials and books in the written form on the subject of human interaction than Alan Pease, whether it's body language or the written word in his book, Right Language, or talk language, the spoken word, or relationships with males and females with his wife Barbara? And I thought, and so they're both coming down, and
great.
I'm just stoked that essentially a lot of people who have been successful in what they do, UFC legend Soa Palele, one of the only Australians. He's a Tongan background, but Soa, he's a fantastic guy. He's part of it, So to teach because the UFC is a tough nut to crack, no matter who you are. Yeah. And so Soa's going to share with some strategies that took him to the top of his field, or volleyball, or Mark Bosnich in the soccer field, or Alan Pease in the area of being a world-class author. Yourself, who, as a personal success coach, a success coach, man, I just hope to get Australia and even the world's best in whatever field they happen to be in: marketing, speaking, sales, entrepreneurship, sports, overall success. And little old me gets to hang out with you guys as well. So
fantastic. So what's the dates?
22.
I mean, I know the dates because I have to be there.
He's going to be there. He's opening the deal. We're going to set the tone with high quality. And I don't know if you guys know, he was just with Arnold, right, last week, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they were talking and strategizing. So here's Kurek and Arnold Schwarzenegger strategizing about helping you get to the top. So I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, I just got back from LA,
yeah.
And I was very fortunate to hang out with the governor, as well as Sylvester Stallone.
Got to watch the Super Bowl with Sly, man.
How's that? And I ate as much free food as I possibly could at his house.
So no, the dates will be down below this video. March 21 and 22, the bonus day, the day before, on March 20. So man, I'm pumped. I'm nervous. I still get. Of course, I'm nervous. I've got my childhood hero again coming to hang out. So I'm nervous as hell. But what I know is, it's this sort of conference that is the very catalyst that's allowed me to do what I do and live the life of my dreams that I never thought possible. And so that's why I'm so enthusiastic for that member of the audience who's sitting there in that audience. Like, I still go to more seminars than I speak at. I still go to more seminars than I run. That's been the tool that has allowed me to do this, So if anyone says, oh, Glenn, you're really lucky. No. You can do what I do as well. You go to these trainings. Don't judge them like I used to do, kind of thing. When someone first handed me a copy of The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, this is back in 2004-5, I rolled my eyes and thought, that's what Amway salespeople read to motivate themselves. If I'm motivated enough to read the book, I'll save my $20 because I'm motivated. You know what I mean? That was my thinking of personal development. It's crazy that I was so naive, but I just didn't know. And
a lot of people mistake personal development for motivation. It's not. Personal development means developing yourself to being a better version of yourself.
Yeah. And I'm still a work in progress, So as you can see, I'm still carrying a few too many kilos. So again, we got Michelle Bridges. She's going to help me in the physical sense. And Arnold, that's the thing about Arnold. He's a playful guy, right? Every time he sees me, he gives me gives me curry, so to speak. He teases me about carrying too much weight. So, man, I've dropped 10 kilos. I've got 20 more to go, but I'm not going to make it in time for the conference. It's coming up too soon. But I've dropped weight a little bit. But so we got Arnold and Michelle. I'm stoked that Michelle Bridges is joining us as well. Fantastic. So, yeah, it's a bit of it's my who's who. And I know the audience is going to love it because it's all the people that I knew could help in all sorts of areas of their life.
Great. And so, Glenn, a lot of speakers. We're probably overwhelming you right now. What's the one key message, the one key thing that the audience is going to walk away with after experiencing by far the best program that's ever been done in Australia?
Yeah, I think, because I've been thinking about that. And for me, I'm going to be sitting in the audience when I'm not on stage speaking, and when I've got a lineup like this that's honoured me with their presence. Glenn Twiddle's going to be speaking for about that much. I just want enough to say that I was there and speaking. But I'm going to be sitting in the audience with you guys, and I'll be taking away different things than someone else. For me, I'll be sitting there with pen and paper whenever anyone's talking about mindset, because mindset, of course, is directly related to the fact that I'm carrying a few extra kilos. So I'll be sitting there pen and paper with Michelle Bridges, pen and paper with Arnold Schwarzenegger, because of course he's a health and fitness advocate and he's still in great shape, nearly 70. And look at him, wow! Because when I'm embarrassed to say, when I went to his house, I feel like an idiot for saying that, but I did. I got invited to his house and I went. The next day we were at Gold's and working out at Gold's gym in Venice Beach. I mean, Kurek, how did this happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. And he is a beast, He is still in such great shape. So I'll be taking notes from those guys who are there to help me. But then other people might be wanting to learn what I know about marketing and how to differentiate yourself in a sea of other businesses. They might be wanting to learn how to stand out. Someone might be wanting to learn how to put on a conference, so they might be learning from me. Someone might be wanting to learn how to be one of the world's premier speakers in personal development. And so they'll be taking, what the key thing I think the audience will take away with is there's enough diversity that wherever you're not falling down, but wherever you might need some improvement in your life, whether it's entrepreneurship, your ability to influence and persuade, your ability to position yourself standing out amongst a crowd. I call it with my real estate guys, stand out amongst a sea of sameness. Or health and fitness, or whatever it is that in your life is kind of needing to improvement. You might have relationship challenges, with Alan Peace and Barbara Peace sitting in the audience next. You might be sitting next to Alan Peace. You might say, "Hey, mate, help me out." But then he'll be up on stage later teaching you, So there is no one thing, because the audience members are going to be so different. I'm going to take away different things than the person sitting next to me. And that's the big thing. But I suppose that overall big thing for me was I studied personal development, marketing, influence, persuasion, all of those subjects that I used to scoff at. I added it up not so long ago. 6,500 hours of me listening to you. You constitute hundreds of those hours, right? That Chicago accent.
No wonder he's carrying extra weight, right?
Yeah, that Chicago accent is embedded in my psyche, as is every speaker, trainer, coach. 6,500 hours of doing what we're going to do there for 3 days. One bonus for the real estate and then 2 full days. That's been the secret for me doing everything that I'm doing, is listening to people who know something about something that I don't know about, applying that knowledge and dreaming big and giving it a crack, and all of that started in seminars just like this, with speakers in fact, not even speakers just like these speakers. In many cases, I've just pulled in all my mentors that taught me, and I'm sharing them with these guys. So I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, I would just like to disclose that, I've waived all my fees. I'm not being commissioned, making any money on this at all to market this.
Man, I appreciate it.
I believe in you. I believe in the program. My mission has always been to help people live a better life, have more joy, have more love, have more fun. And that's what this program really is, and I'm really honored to be a part of it, and I'm glad to be sharing this with you. And one more question, Glenn, that I always ask at the end of an interview.
He's throwing this one on me, okay.
How do you want to be remembered?
Wow. You know what? I often say that my upbringing, Ipswich, is often judged. People who know the place called Ipswich, it's often, there's some judgment made. So if I'm known as some of my kids at school, and that went to school with me, some of my clients call me a bit of a bogan from Ipswich, but I'm a guy from Ipswich who had a crack and ended up literally living a life that, when you think about it, there are billions of people on this planet, and how many millions of those grew up in my vintage who would dearly love to be kind of in business with and socialising with over a course of years now. Their childhood hero in Arnold Schwarzenegger. I suppose here's what I don't know quite how to word it as eloquent as you would, but the odds of me doing what I've done are literally millions to one. Millions to one. It's got to be. There'd be millions of kids my age who would love to be doing what I'm doing. Millions to one. And then I think about it, I'm the one. Someone's got to be the one. So I guess if the odds of whatever you're wanting to do in your world are millions to one, I suppose my advice is, be the one. And if I'm remembered as that, man, that's a pretty damn good legacy.
Oh, that's awesome. And Glenn, thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, man, my pleasure.
And come to the workshop. Come to the summit, Total Success Summit. Blow your mind. You're going to change your life on all levels. And, the other thing I always say in life is that if you're not networking, you're not working. Just imagine, like you're saying, Alan P. sitting in the audience. I'll be sitting in the audience. Who's going to be there? Who are you going to bump into?
It's a good point. Yeah.
It opens up your world, and it's always about capitalizing on opportunities and doors that open in your world. And then from that, it leads to the next one. Just keep taking action and capitalizing on it. So it's not just about the speakers, which by itself is going to be unbelievable. Like we'll probably be fighting for elbow space, trying to write down on our notebooks. My notebook will be on your lap. But the thing is that it's also who you're going to meet there. Sure, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities to even meet some of the speakers, because we'll probably all be in the audience taking notes. When I was talking to the governor, by the way, that's how I refer to Arnold Schwarzenegger when I meet him, especially being an American, meeting him, and I asked him, he's excited to be there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not sitting there taking notes, because that's what made Arnold so successful. It wasn't bodybuilding. He's not a muscle head. Bodybuilding was just a launch pad for him to go do the rest of his career, but you're going to find out more about those things at the Total Success Summit and really how he made it. So
he was a big student of anything he needed to learn. And he did jokingly say last time, he said he took accent removal classes. And he even says to this day, he needs to get a refund for that one.
Well, one of the things he did do, Glenn, is that he studied Clint Eastwood films. And Clint was the one who really always had that one line that made the movie, like, you know, feel lucky punk or whatever, and it just made the movie. Well, that's why if you watch every one of Arnold's movies,
It's always got the
you know, Hasta La Vista Baby and all these things, and I'll Be Back, came from him studying other famous movie people and why they succeeded.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn a lot here, not just about obviously how to be in the movies.
Definitely. And
So-
I love about Arnold, he's so, having dealt with him now and having socialised with him, but even on stage, he doesn't hide behind what brought him to the dance. He doesn't shy away from it.
No.
Like, he's very playful with even, you know, dropping a few of the lines. But last time when he came and he said, no, get the camera here. And he did a few of his lines. He says, no, get the camera. I'll be back. And he did the I'll be back. And I was sitting there at the back of the room. Actually, no, I was sitting there in the front row praying that cameraman
Oh, I forgot to put batteries in.
I would have cried. You would have seen him grown man tears.
Somehow you're not going to ask him for take two. So I look forward to seeing you at the summit. Glenn, it's been an honor, and I'm
right back at
excited to
Thank
be
you, man.
working with you again. Until we talk to you again,
See you
have a
then,
most
guys.
outstanding day.